Hey there, hi there, ho there. I'm Eric. This is another edition of Depth of Field, the show where we peer deep into the lens to try and figure out what the hell's going on in movie land. And this week, it's pretty cool because I have two guests who've known each other for a while, who know each other very well, and who have appeared on screen many times together. I'm talking, of course, about Liz, Elizabeth Neale, and Scott Humphrey. These are two Beanduckers who you may know from LARPs, you may know from Mother. You guys were on screen for a long time in Mother.
So long.
Pretty much the whole movie.
I played the house.
And you guys often participate in other Beanduck shows, but now you're here on mine. Yeah. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to talk movies. We're going to talk geek stuff. This is like unlike, we're not playing video games. We're not doing any cosplay. Oh, we already have some comments. Look at this. Awesome shirt, Eric. Thanks, says the Emerald 97.
It is an awesome shirt.
Mangani says, these two pretty mofos. MFers, I guess.
Right, MFers, right.
Why don't we just say it? These two pretty motherfuckers. And you do actually look very good. You guys are very, very photogenic.
Oh, it took a very long time to get to where we are now.
Well, in fact, I even
It's
think
been 84 years.
I commented on Scott's shirt. I really like Scott's shirt, and what I found out is that actually Liz bought it for herself, and then Scott appropriated it.
Yeah,
Because
it looks better on him than it.
now you may not know this. I didn't know. I wasn't sure, and so before we got on the air today, I said I have a bit of an embarrassing question, but I prefer to ask you guys off air than on air. And I said, are you guys like a thing? Because I always got that sense, but I never saw them making out or anything like that. But apparently,
Making
yes.
out furiously
To
on the
which we say,
Beanduck couch.
what's a thing? What do you mean, Eric? Like, please define this further for us.
But yes, you guys are a living, breathing, working, bona fide couple. How long have you been together?
It's been 84 years. That's going to be with me. It's going to come back again.
We're doing another one. We're doing another one later. Don't worry. Third time's the charm.
Okay, good.
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great. And so.
Putting bullets over here.
But did you meet on set?
No.
No. Okay.
Not even.
How did you guys meet?
That's a good question. How did we meet? At university, actually. Liz and I both grew up in Ottawa, Ontario. You know the place.
The nation's capital.
The nation's capital. I've been there. A lot of tulips.
A lot of tulips.
So many tulips.
A lot of
A lot of
beautiful,
tulips and
beautiful
tourists.
A lot of that's
and
true.
bars that close at 11.
Ugh, not anymore.
Don't try to stay out after midnight.
Okay.
That's not a thing that people do.
Although we both grew up in Ottawa, we didn't know each other there, but both attended Concordia University's theater performance program and met there. And
Sparks flew.
Well, for sure. Fast friends. Fast friends.
Yeah.
We bonded over BBC miniseries.
Bacon Bonanza pizzas.
Oh my God. There's so many pizzas.
And Super Smash Brothers. and
Yes,
Lost.
of course.
Okay, so you're both. I mean, you're coming at this from very similar perspectives. Both gamers, both actors.
I wasn't really a gamer until Concordia. I loved games like Harvest Moon, OG, but
I love Harvest Moon,
when
the
it came
Neil Young
to
album.
Super Smash Brothers and I don't know, and tabletop role-playing games, which I'm now a huge fan of, it wasn't until Concordia when I started hanging out with Scott and John Silver and John Verrill and basically a bunch of people who were in LARPs, who ended up being in LARPs, and they got me hooked on. I basically realized, oh, this is the group of people that I want to hang out with the whole time through school. I think I need to be more of a gamer, and it was that's it. That's all it took. The push off the cliff, and I was hooked.
But and vice versa, right? Like I feel like for me, some of your interests were things that I was like, I don't know. Like I guess
like
I'll
what?
try it out. Like what? Period dramas.
Yes.
Period dramas.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Jane
I
Austen
can't.
miniseries.
I haven't been able to make it over that hurdle. There's nothing
Have
that.
you tried?
Yes,
I have a list for you.
Okay.
A lot.
I have a list
I feel like
for
a
you.
good.
Well, hold on.
Wait, no, hang on.
We have to take because there's comments. They're flying fast. Learned from Gaming says, "Wow, 2010 start. That's cool." And the Emerald 90 says, "Looking
It is.
jacked, Scooter. You are looking jacked. Yeah, show us them guns." So if you see me going like this, it's because there's a camera in the way, and Mangani says, Liz,
We'll send you to a dark realm. Don't worry, I'll take care of reading a lot of the comments for you, Eric.
Okay, thank you.
We got you covered.
Oh, beautiful. Now let's talk period pieces then. Why not?
So
I don't like them.
You want to talk
Fair.
about
Yeah.
why? Okay, now when you say period piece, what do you mean by period
Okay, like a
piece?
perfect example is anything where they have those like chalky wigs. Like
Okay.
the kind of, I don't know if they're British or French, but they're definitely like classical period. This is my thing about, I feel like I'm being interviewed now.
All
This
right,
is
can't
great.
wait.
This is my thing about fashion. I feel that when someone looks like they've taken it so seriously and put so much effort in, when something doesn't feel effortless, it frustrates me. And I feel that when people in these, the way people are dressed in period dramas is often way too, like.
It's what you would call extra or try hard.
Charles II was definitely known as the most
It was
extra
very
of British monarchs, for sure.
Right. So I may be coming off like a bit of a brute, a bit of an unsophisticated
It's just that
lout.
What I mean, I love me some period dramas, but specifically what Scott got hooked on were Jane Austen miniseries and things like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know if you've ever read any Jane Austen.
I went to
If you're a
school,
fan,
so
like,
yeah.
Extra is a lifestyle not everyone can handle. You got it. You got it, the Emerald. But I just love the BBC like miniseries adaptations of Jane Austen books. God damn it! They're delightful. They really are.
Okay, so what is it in the writing? Is it in the storytelling? Is it in the look? I mean, because often these things look so drab, don't they? Like, I know everyone was really into, okay, perfect example. Downton Abbey, right? Everyone went crazy
Sure.
about Downton Abbey. Couldn't do it. But then there was that movie that came out last year, the one that won many Oscars that was like really kind of trippy take on
The
that.
Favorite?
Oh,
Yeah,
The Favorite, yeah.
That actually looked, I would be like, yes, because the storytelling was interesting. It wasn't
Scott,
just,
no.
He's lost his microphone. Send him away.
You're out. I'm still in.
Just you stay. So I think it's also sometimes I find the storytelling style so staid and static and uninteresting. Not to say that I want them all of a sudden to start, like Batman versus Superman blasting into buildings and things
Well,
like that.
that's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh,
if
right.
you are into that
Yes.
life.
Yeah, that seemed kind of
Jane
cool.
Austen will provide.
Like an upstairs versus downstairs, like beat 'em up battle royale brawl would be amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all
Right.
the upstairs versus all the downstairs in Downton Abbey would be great. I'd be into that.
Of course, yeah.
No, I like if I can jump in here really quick, because I totally agree with you. If I'm thinking of something like, say, Downton Abbey, for example, it doesn't really do it for me either. And part of that would be, yeah, that the visual palette can be very drab, and also just perhaps the storytelling's a bit maybe formulaic or whatever it is.
Wouldn't it be great if it was Downtown Abbey and it was about like a working girl named Abby who was, downtown?
Right. It's sort of the parallel universe
Exactly.
that they run parallel to each other.
I feel like that's been done a few times.
It must.
But like a great example for me would be just in terms of a show that I think really works well because it's not tired or anything like that would be The Hour, which is also a BBC series, set in the sort of late 1950s, I believe, at the BBC, where these
60s
maybe the early 60s.
When did the Suez crisis
Oh yeah, around the time of the Suez Canal crisis. Right in with your answers. 62. Anyway.
Thanks, Google.
But it has the tone of a mystery because these journalists are trying to unravel a conspiracy. It's sort of set during the Cold War, right? So there's this air of like spy espionage kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not such a regular drama. Do you know what I mean? There's like a tone to it.
Well,
which is great.
where do you guys stand on Coronation Street?
I never watched it.
But how could you be a fan of
What?
the BBC?
Yeah.
Isn't there like
I don't like soap operas.
I like the periodness of it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I like it. I like that they get scandalized if somebody's petticoat is 6 inches deep in mud. That's delightful to me. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're sitting in a crowded room at a dance, and two people can make eye contact and then immediately decide that they they hate each other, and then
It's the melodrama.
5 hours later they're in love and they're getting married, and that's just how quickly
That's
things
how
work. Like
Liz
nothing
wishes we
happens,
met,
and yet
actually.
everything happens. That's what I love about Jane Austen. It's like
Okay.
it's so charged, but when you think about it in the grand scheme of things,
All the
it's so
subtext
contained.
is
Yeah.
okay. How about this? There was a movie that I saw last year. It was the most recent Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I'm trying to remember about the dressmaker. Did anybody see this movie?
Nope.
Okay, well, forget that, because that also was
Forget that.
very stuffy and British, but it was gripping. So maybe, look, you give me the best, most gripping, most
But see, you're going into it with the wrong attitude.
No, but see,
you're looking. You want to be on tenterhooks. You want to be on the edge of your seat. That's not gonna.
But here's the other thing, though,
deliver
right?
that for you.
Like, isn't the near future also just a period drama? Just the period is, right?
yeah.
They've got their own style, and of course, like for me, someone who's big into the cyberpunk aesthetic, I look at that and I'm like, so cool! Just do anything. I don't care. Just like jump in your sweet car that hovers or whatever. I don't know, but isn't that also just kind of a period drama that
Yeah.
might lean really heavily on
So,
its setting?
Learned from Gaming wants to know, a show like Chernobyl, is that trying too hard? Now, I have not seen Chernobyl, but I've heard amazing things
Apparently,
about it.
it's the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, and I haven't
I'm
seen it
afraid
either.
I mean, that's going to be a rough watch.
Well,
Was it a tragedy? Sorry, too soon? Is it too soon? I'm sorry.
but okay.
Yikes.
Is it try hard? Can we define try hard? Because we've extracted it from my assessment of people who put too much effort into fashion. But try hard in this case, what are we saying is try hard? I think maybe I'm a bit lost. Or did you just? Is try hard what the kids are saying these days?
I mean, look, try hard can mean anything. It can mean you going in, bringing your teacher an apple on your first day of
Okay.
school. That's
Yeah.
try hard.
Right. So.
But it could also.
What the hell's wrong with an apple?
Right, but then
Apple
what
a day,
is?
doctor away, huh?
So when we're talking about Chernobyl being try hard, in other words, is
I
it
don't
trying
know.
too hard to please?
Or
the
to
audience, or-
manipulate the audience into
Okay.
feeling a certain emotion, maybe. I'm going to try to bank on an example as soon as I can, but of a show or a film that really tries to lean on you to make you feel something. You know?
My hot take on that.
Hot take.
Oh
I'm
boy,
ready.
are we ready? Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think
Oh.
that. No, I'm not saying Game of Thrones is therefore a bad show, but I am gonna say that Game of Thrones takes things that you love and burns it to ash
In front of you, and makes you watch.
makes you watch.
Yeah.
So, in a way, is that not try hard? Who knows?
But like to each their own as well, right? Some people
Exactly.
enjoy
I loved
the
Game of Thrones,
experience.
but I stopped watching it 4 seasons in.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I'm still 2 seasons in,
Yeah.
and as I was 2 seasons in, and we were on season 8. It's 8, right? That just finished.
Yeah. Yes.
And people were like,
knows?
"Look, this sucks. Rewrite it." I was like, "Well, do I really want to continue if the end game, is that?"
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good question.
Yes.
But you're the expert, so you tell us.
I'm not a TV expert. Here's the thing. I've come to realize, it's embarrassing to say, but my TV watching these days is pretty much limited to like late night talk shows and a lot of CNN. And it's turned my mind off time.
TV is crushing it.
Oh, it
these
is.
days.
It's the golden
There's,
age.
like,
really is.
Scott
I
and I
agree
are
with that.
watching. We were watching 4 shows until recently. Just finally finished Fleabag,
It's a little too much to have back to back.
which was amazing. But like Big Little Lies, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Killing Eve are on the go right now.
Big Little Lies, an upcoming guest on the show is the editor of Big Little Lies.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The editing is.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's a
quite
guy
exciting,
from
actually,
Montreal. He did a lot of work with Jean-Marc Vallée, and then got brought in to do that, and then has also done what's the other Sharp Object? Is that
Yeah,
the other?
yeah, Sharp Objects.
Yeah. So I'd love to learn about the editing process and working with someone like
It's
that.
a beautifully shot show.
The Emerald
To be
97
fair,
says.
American news is like a soap opera.
Yes, and that's the thing is that, okay, so maybe we all choose our different things for us to turn off to.
Exactly.
I turn off to American news, and to me, it's just endlessly fascinating, but it's also about investing. I can invest in a 2-hour movie. I have no problem with that because I know it's over. But investing
Right.
in 7 seasons of
Yep.
something, if I know myself and I know that I remember Lost. I was like after season 2, it always happens to me in season 2. I'm like, I'm tired of it.
About the right time for, well, I mean, it depends, right? There's only, I think, for me anyway, there's only a certain amount of time that a writer can really sustain interest in any sort of story unless they then introduce a new one. And sometimes the way that those tie together on a show can be really not so great, which is why I think maybe something like American Horror Story has had a lot, or Black Mirror has had a lot of success because it's not just episodic, but really totally standalone. They can just have mini.
And that's why my new favorite
Exist in a
show
vacuum.
is the new Twilight Zone. I
go.
love what Jordan Peele has done with the Twilight Zone and their self-contained little vignettes,
to watch
and
that.
it's really good. I
Yeah.
mean, if you liked Us and Get Out, then it has that. I always knew, even when I watched Key and Peele, the attention to detail and the kind of the overproduction, even on the smallest skit or sketch. I was like, okay, these guys really know how to suck me in. Or to reel me in. So, I think I know the style of stuff that I like. It's not necessarily the period dramas, but I'm ready for.
You do you.
Yeah, but I'm doing me, and I'm not trying too hard. Mangani says.
Oh yeah, TV really hopping because it has to compete with the internet.
Well, you know what? That actually brings us to an interesting point. An article that I sent you guys.
That's right.
Which we all read some of. Because it's a very
Hopefully
long
different parts.
article. Right?
We can combine our.
But
Okay,
it's very interesting. It's in the New York Times. I'm just going to pull it up here. And it was my uncle who sent it to me, in fact.
Oh damn.
And it's how will the movies, as we know them, survive the next 10 years? Basically, they got a panel together of some real huge luminaries. Let me see if I can find the people who are in there. But there's 24 major Hollywood figures. Ava DuVernay, Jason Blumhouse. Anyways, you know who I'm talking about. Octavia Spencer, Kumail Nanjiani, thank you.
Yeah.
Lena Waithe from, where's Lena Waithe from? I forget. J.J. Abrams, John Chu, Barry Jenkins, the Russo brothers, Jessica Chastain. And so it's all these people who are talking about the future of making movies and bringing people into movie theaters, and how the idea of something has to be theatrical for it to work, for the green light to be given by a studio for something to be put in a movie theater. It has to have a certain something that's going to get people out of their houses, off their streaming devices, and into a movie theater paying $13-14 and popcorn and all that stuff.
This, not to just dive right away into a connection or anything, but this is a conversation that's been had around theater for probably thousands of years. Well, not thousands,
Right,
but at
because
least
you guys
100.
are theater actors as well.
Originally, but now I think we do a lot more work in film, television,
You kind of
and
have
voice.
to be able to do a little bit of everything if you want to be an actor in Montreal, especially.
But I feel like theater's also been kind of struggling with that ever since the advent of film, even because film offers an experience that is encompassing, right? Like it rushes over you in a way that a live stage play kind of can't. But what live theater offers, which I think actually interestingly is also what a movie in a theater offers, is a sense of spectacle, a sense of, oh wow, this is really happening in front of me right now.
And a communal experience.
And a communal experience, exactly, which we don't have when we're watching streaming service, usually. And so, I know they kind of bring up in the article the idea that there's 3 or 4 kind of big blockbusters every year that
Suck up all the
yeah,
other
exactly. Take out the whole show, season because people don't go out very often. So how do you get people to go to an event? How do you make something that might not be the culmination of 20-odd movies in a cinematic universe, right? Like how do you make something like that an event?
It's a good question. They bring up the movie Booksmart, the Olivia Wilde directed movie that I saw. It's really it's smart, it's funny, it's insightful. It didn't it got critical rave reviews, but it didn't do well at the box office. And there was no reason why a movie like that, with the exception of the fact that it wasn't a huge blockbuster and didn't have that theatrical hook. But then again, a movie like Get Out, for example, 2 years ago, did. And it didn't have there was no reason for people to necessarily go and see that at the movie theater. So what is the defining factor? How do we know if a movie is going to work? Or how do the producers know?
I mean, honestly, I think Booksmart was just not marketed as well as Get Out was either.
So it's the marketing.
Booksmart, I think a lot of it comes down to marketing. It isn't enough. I mean, as people who have created content for the web, it isn't enough to have a good product. And it isn't even enough to have a critically well-received product. You need so many people's eyeballs on this product, and you need to create a marketing campaign
a story around it almost, right?
A story around
a
it,
narrative around the
and Get Out
marketing.
had a wonderful narrative to it.
Oh, it
like
was-
to the creation of the film itself, not even the film, and so. I'm not saying that that's obviously not the magical answer. It's certainly not Booksmart's fault that it didn't do better in theaters. But I will say that for a long time, movies have been allowed to be a little, dare I say, lazy with their concepts not being original anymore.
Woof.
And their marketing just being like, well, it'll be in theaters, people will see it. And that's just not the case anymore.
And sometimes
now,
when it's a
needs to be-
15-second trailer and it's just like, starring so-and-so
Yeah.
as so-and-so, sometimes I don't even think that the spirit of the movie is properly encapsulated
Represented, yeah.
in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's no, go
I was
for
going to say, especially if the spirit of that film is very similar to a whole genre of films already, right? If I think of, they were trying to reboot The Mummy, right, with Tom Cruise. Sort of gaff trailer notwithstanding, which was amazing, but
with the sound.
with the sound
That
mixing,
was
it was really
hysterical.
funny. And,
But could that have been a coup? Like
a marketing ploy, yeah.
They
Exactly.
should have done that.
I agree.
They should have taken that and rolled with it.
But then the story,
and then
the-
started
the-
releasing more.
But
that,
then the
that were
film
poorly
should
mixed
be
like
funny in that way, and it's not. It
that.
wouldn't
No.
have been, right?
No,
like,
no.
not
People would have
having
seen the
it.
film and gone, oh, this isn't what I signed up for, and but they would have still bought their ticket.
That's right, and then that
because of the
first
brilliant
weekend
marketing campaign.
would have
That's it.
given it the extra legs to
And then
run.
you hope that the movie itself is good enough to carry you through. But now, when anyone says, "Oh, this movie's coming out, X movie's coming out, do you want to see it?" And then the next question is, do you want to see it in theaters, or
Yeah.
are you going to wait until it comes out on Netflix, until it comes out to buy on Google Play?
And it's that much faster to be able to access those
It
things.
is. Theaters still have a little bit of an edge. They still, so for movies like Endgame, where you're concerned about spoilers, you do see it in theaters. It
There's
is
one
what it is.
Endgame per year.
Yeah.
Oh, max, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, there's a couple of comments, but I want to get back to a couple of things
sure,
you were
yeah.
saying. I can't read it because of the camera, so.
So the Emerald says, plus some productions in theater really incorporate the audience, like in Rocky Horror and Rock of Ages, which creates, as Scott was saying, a community and experience as opposed to just you're sitting, you're very passive and watching a show. Learn from
Whoa.
Gaming says, with the right analytics, larger companies like Netflix can loosely predict what may be popular. Imagine what Disney will accomplish when they can track what people are watching on their streaming services. It's true.
Yeah, but it's
Disney's-
scary because then it really becomes much more of a numbers game, and
Yeah.
if this many people are watching this kind of movie, and we're not going to get the same quality. But let's take the Disney example. So Disney bought Fox, right? I think
Yes.
Yes.
Safe to assume that Disney's bought everything
Right.
at this point.
Certainly bought me.
So that means Disney is going to now owns why am I drawing a total blank? Ryan
Simpsons.
Reynolds,
I
not
have no idea.
Daredevil, Deadpool. Thank you. So Disney now owns Deadpool, and when we were talking about marketing, I was going to say Deadpool. They got it.
I agree.
Brilliant.
I agree.
Anybody who wants to know how to market a rated R film for the masses needs to just learn from Deadpool
Yeah.
and what they did. It's
I
amazing.
mean, it helps when you have someone who's so charismatic and so witty.
But that is just the
But
perfect
I
marriage
agree.
of so many things,
That's
right?
true.
It's the actor with the role, with the script, with the marketing, with the
And the references,
Like,
the Bob Ross reference
Yeah.
or Celine Dion on, the way that they, I guess,
Flashdance, they did a thing. I remember
Yeah.
as well on posters. Yeah,
it's about self-awareness, and I think I think maybe what we were saying about The Mummy is that it could have been self-aware. It's not the kind of movie that's supposed to be self-aware in its moviness, but maybe that's what we need to do for marketing, or what marketers need to do, is to try and be more self-aware and
also just take risks and have fun.
Yeah, but
it's okay to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
That's what Deadpool's so good at.
Yeah, tell that to Tom Cruise.
Yeah, well, he's our fan.
I will.
But
Hello, Tom.
Yes, I'll help.
let's talk about some of your movies, or some of your.
Oh, God. Who wants to hear
Well,
about
Tom and I are going to be working together.
So you guys have appeared together on screen in LARPs. I think maybe let's take some time to talk about LARPs, and because I think most of the people who watch us are probably familiar with LARPs. So maybe this is a good chance for any of you who are LARP fans, LARPers. Well, what do you call the fandom of LARPs? LARP heads? LARPers? Anyways, any of you who are fans of LARP.
LARP holes.
LARP holes.
Oh, no.
I like that.
You said it live on Twitch. What are you doing?
If you have questions
LARP holes out there? Call in.
about LARPs, now's the time. I want to ask, have you guys, because LARPs, there are actual LARPers in Montreal on the mountain.
very much
There's
so,
a
yes.
very big live-action role-playing scene in Montreal and Quebec.
Right.
In general.
And so are you guys like...
Learn from gaming is
I'll
good.
own LARP holes.
good,
Says learn from gaming.
good. And Emerald says we...
Yeah, the Twerkle is another word for the community that has, from LARPs, or even after LARPs, followed us all on Twitch on our individual gaming channels.
Yeah.
The Twerkle, the Twitch circle.
Oh, the Twerkle. I like that.
Interesting, I say.
So, is the LARPing community in Montreal behind you guys? Have you ever showed up at a LARP, just walked up while they were doing it and they were like, oh my God, it's you guys?
Not exactly like that, but similar.
Yeah. I mean, well, I can think of a few different incidents, right? Like a lot of the material, like props and costume pieces for one of the episodes from season 2, which is set at a steampunk LARP event, were provided by Steampunk Canada, Steampunk Montreal. Which is a wonderful kind of organization of people who kind of make their own steampunk material. And they were so excited to collaborate with the show, and we had a screening with them. We attended some events with those guys as well. I mean, that's one example of a community, because I think the big thing for me is when we were starting the process, a lot of what surrounds LARPing in the media, obviously there's a lot of sort of negative attention on it, right? Like implying that people who live action role play are, I don't know, big babies, or like not socially awkward, et cetera, right? And they're people, we're people. So there's a whole range of people in there, right?
Are you guys LARPers?
We play role-playing games. I have played in some live action role-playing games, but I think what I discovered was that they're not all medieval fantasy in the woods, et cetera, like we kind of represent in the show.
Yeah, you would think that there would be as much science fiction in the woods, or...
Sure, yeah. I had played, John was running a live action role playing game for quite a few years that I participated in, it was like in somebody's apartment, but we were all playing half human, half fairy creatures. You know what I mean?
That still feels a bit medieval, though.
It was totally contemporary, but you're right that there's like a fantasy element for sure.
Right, but I'm just thinking, you were talking about how science fiction, we were talking about period pieces in the past and the future. So why is there not as much? Why is there no Blade Runner style?
I would be willing to bet that there is one.
Yeah.
And that we could Google it and find it in like
are.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not, but we could.
And cyberpunk LARPs, dystopian future LARPs, post-apocalyptic.
Oh, that's true, actually.
That's very common LARP scenarios.
And essentially, when I was a kid and I was playing, not G.I. Joe action figures, but pretending I was, that was essentially LARPing. So it's just, it's brought into adulthood. The Emerald 97 says...
LARPs actually got me out of my shell and was so fun to see that I joined that community.
Really?
So,
really wonderful. The Emerald.
Wow.
The Emerald, you're not alone in having that sentiment. That was one of the most gratifying things to hear after the show came out. There were two things. One was current LARPers saying, and this happened to us a few times, coming up to us, very emotionally saying, this is the first time I've seen my beloved hobby represented in a way that is truthful and doesn't make fun of it. And then the other were people who had never LARPed before, who saw the show, who said, this looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Went off and found a local LARP group and are still doing it now.
That's amazing.
And love it. And we've had both. We've had people who've been LARPing for a long time who said thank you for the show, and we've had people never LARPed saying thank you for the show. And that was just, every time someone new comes up to me and tells me that, it gets me.
It's a good feeling, for sure.
Yeah.
Were you guys involved in the conception? Like, were you there from the beginning, or did you audition and then got involved once you got accepted?
Yeah, we auditioned for the show once the first season was sort of, the concept, like the original concept was our director over here, Mr. Julian Stambouli, at the booth. Hello.
Well, Julian has yet to appear on my show. I keep on asking him to come on
And then
because
he's like, I have to run it. Oh.
right. But I would like to know where the idea came from. Julian,
But
one day you'll have to tell me, or let them speak for you.
Yikes.
We'll let him tell the story.
So
Okay,
it's going to fill up the whole time. But that was sort of the original concept, which was then taken and worked between him and John Verrill, who ended up writing the teleplays, the screenplays for the show. Web plays?
Sure.
Scripts, you bastard. So we auditioned when they were casting the sort of out of like episode 0, sort of the teaser episode. But with the intention of doing a first full season.
Well, so there's an Oscar-winning director who...
Julian Stambouli, LARP's the series.
a Québécois Oscar-winning director who included some LARPing in one of his movies. I don't know if you guys ever saw L'Âge des Ténèbres, The Age of Darkness. It was a Denis Arcand movie. Where there's a whole section, like a 20-minute section, that happens in a whole LARP community.
Sorry to interrupt, is it like an outdoor medieval fantasy?
Yeah.
Did they shoot at Picolines,
probably
here in Quebec?
did shoot at
which is
Picolines.
like the greatest, it's like a full year-round medieval village.
I wouldn't be surprised. That sounds exactly right.
Hundreds of participants,
Yeah, they have a
maybe
big
even
event
thousands.
every year.
Well, you guys, if you haven't seen it, I recommend that just for the LARPing part. And
Learn from Gaming says it was a well-written and respectful representation of the hobby. That script had depth, and the actors and LARPs made it believable and enjoyable.
this is almost like last week when the Erpers were
The indomitable Tim Rozon was on the show. It was a
Tim,
joy.
speaking about the community around Winona Earp, reminded me a lot of the community that was built from LARPs. Just so supportive. And people always say, don't read the YouTube comments. And I did, because I'm terrible. And I would scroll through the comments, and for every one negative troll who found their way in there were 27 glowing comments about the show.
Yeah.
And it's usually the other way around.
Well, I used to work at Watch Mojo. I know exactly what that's like.
Yeah, and it was just incredible. Like reading it, just like and then it was just. Well, so nice.
Why don't we roll a clip of LARPs, and then what do you think? Should we picture this one? Is there what to say, or should we just watch it and come back and talk about it? You chose the clip. What are you thinking?
Oh boy, do you have a preference, Mr. Director?
Let's just play it.
All right, let's play this clip, and then you can tell us all about it.
Okay, we'll
Here's
do.
LARPs.
The others must hate me.
I doubt it. Noxious is some kind of internet celebrity, so Arthur's excited. Kat already knew.
What about Brittany?
If I knew what Brittany was thinking, my life would be a lot easier.
She's a complicated person.
Yeah. So, what made you decide to go all Harriet the Spy on us?
I'm a journalist. It's my job. I was doing my job.
Yeah, but why us? Like, what? How are we interesting?
My editor wanted an article on LARPing. I already had experience role-playing, so she asked me to do it. It went over well and became a regular column. I was gonna tell you guys, it never seemed like the right time.
Do you like playing with us?
Yeah. Otherwise I wouldn't feel so badly about pissing everyone off. How could a LARP cause so much drama?
What'd you expect?
It's just a game.
Is it?
Come on.
Look, I may not buy into it as much as you nerds.
Then why? Why do you play?
I play because it gives me a chance to hang out with my friends, including you.
You don't play to escape? Be someone else for a time?
Nope.
It's a shame. It can be a liberating experience.
Not really my thing. Maybe for others. I just don't like pretending to be someone I'm not.
Maybe, but our characters don't come out of nowhere. They're a part of who we are. You can find out a lot about yourself through role-playing.
How zen. Wait.
Where are you going?
I gotta talk to someone. Thanks, Shane.
Who's supposed to lock up? Will?
God damn it.
Nice. So that is season.
That's season 2, episode 8. So
Okay.
we really,
Getting it right near the end there.
and no context was given.
Right. So yeah, give us the context now.
Basically, my character was a new addition to this LARP group.
A journalist
Who
was
is
embedded.
revealed to be a journalist who was writing about the game.
A mole.
And when that's found out, there's a big blow up in the group, and they just assume that she's been making fun of them behind their backs, especially the game master who was played by John. He's very upset, and then it's revealed that she was actually writing very glowing things about the game, still deceiving them, of course. But
a classic misunderstanding,
but yeah,
really.
it was.
That's all.
And so this is her realizing that, like, why she played and how she cares about these people as friends and not just as subjects of writing. And it's a big moment for Scott's character as well, because up until this point he's been very blasé about the whole thing. Suddenly you realize he cares about the game a lot too.
Well, why is he involved if he's blasé in the first place?
Great question.
Yeah.
Well, so this is the thing, right? Like when we sat down, like John as the writer wanted to sit down with the actors to get their perspective on the characters and their motivations, and so I mean, obviously he's kind of crafting them as we go, but so are we.
And it's
Like,
very
he
well
wanted our
written. Just
contribution.
even that scene, you know, I echo what the comments are saying. There's depth. There's even within 2 minutes, you're connecting to these characters.
Yeah, I think that people kind of assume that in order to get like a really deep, rich scene with a lot of undertones, that you need 10 minutes or whatever, and you don't really. You just it needs to be well structured, right? No, but Will kind of comes out in this scene, and for the first time, really, because up to this point, not only has he been kind of apathetic, but like frankly, he's pretty crass. Like he makes fun of Jonathan Silver's character. Well, he makes fun of everybody, frankly, and but no, he comes out here and he says like, my friends play this game, and if I didn't play, I wouldn't see them. So. This is his way of connecting with his friends, and that's one of the reasons that people play, right? Social connectivity,
Same
right?
reason why we go see movies in theaters and not sitting at home.
That's very true.
Couple
Learn
comments.
from Gaming says, this cafe is the best, even if it is imaginary. The world needs more licensed gaming cafes. Fun fact, it's not imaginary. This was filmed at Randolph Pub Ludique, which is a gaming pub in Montreal.
Yeah.
So it's not called Lancelate, but it is, I mean, all the games you see on the shelf, those are actually there. We didn't do any set dressing. That's
The
what the pub
terrifying
looks like.
owner of a gaming cafe is a work of fiction, thank goodness, because otherwise I'd be really like
Well, you
terrified
never
of this, yeah.
know.
Well, it's true.
And then the Emerald says, OMG, I knew I heard your voice. I recognized you from Watch Mojo.
Whoa!
There you go.
That's very funny. Yes, that's true. It was like a limited amount of time that I was there, but yeah, my voice. And you know what the strangest thing is? On every single video I voiced, at least 4 or 5 people would comment, "Hey, is that John Cena? Hey, I think I hear John Cena." And I never knew that I sounded like John Cena.
Is that John Cena?
Well,
think it might
clearly I don't, the guns, but no,
Maybe
apparently
you're
I have,
preparing for a role.
I have a
we
very
don't know.
similar voice
We would never presume.
to John Cena. Lance was
not
not terrifying.
terrifying.
He's
He's
awesome,
awesome.
says Iravana.
You passed, Iravana. You passed the test.
What was the most fun that you guys ever had doing LARPs, so like filming LARPs?
For me, it was any time we got to choreograph a fight.
Okay,
Because you felt like such a badass. With Sean
With
Beatty,
Sean,
who
yeah.
was the very first guest of Depth of Field,
Yeah.
he, especially, because in season 2, he came on board as choreographer. Season 1, we didn't have him. But season 2, he, with the help of Julian basically pulled scenes that he wanted different fights to be inspired by. So he was like, for this big fight in this episode, I want it to be like, this scene from Kill Bill. For this one, I want this and this. I got to do a fight with Mark Camacho that was inspired by Brienne and the Hounds fight from an episode of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Which is a brutal fight. Anyway, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to film. It was a really long day, but it was so gratifying at the end and to see the finished product. So in hindsight, it was fun. In the moment, it was not. But I'm gonna still.
Did you any injuries to talk
Just
about?
bruises. Because you're fighting with foam swords, so it's not that they're boffer weapons, but you get hit in the same spot again and again and again. You're wearing armor and it's pinching. I was covered in bruises by the end of the day.
We did have our first AD during season 1 fall from a tree, I think.
Yeah.
Was he trying to, he was trying to rig up, I don't even know what he was trying
Yeah.
to
Breaking branches out of the frame.
He was trying to get branches out of the frame at the behest
fell out of
of
the
tree. Fell out of a tree.
the
Oh, no.
cinematographer, of course, yeah.
He was a cinematographer. Oh, to do that, he was the AD. He was
For,
okay.
for the
Gotcha.
cinematographer.
Did he have to go to the hospital?
I think he's dead. No, that's not really nice, is it?
How was the insurance? I imagine you had some decent insurance.
Big payout.
What was
no.
your favorite
My
moment?
so that I don't have to echo Liz because I would otherwise. A lot of in season 2 we had the remarkable chance to sort of open up the cast a little bit and work with people who hadn't worked on the first season, and they got to bring their energy to it. So there were more than 2 days, but 2 kind of incidents in particular. I'm thinking of the season 2 episode 5. It's the steampunk episode, like I referred to earlier, where there's a whole other group of 6 who play in this other game, and so we have a chance to interact with them. Sean Beatty, Mara Lazarus, et
Are
cetera.
they like your kind of doppelganger evil?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
It's not a 1-for-1, which
Yeah.
is good, because I think that would be a bit strange. But there are definitely some parallels, and I think that it's a lot of fun for us to kind of interact, but also just them bringing their energy to it. That's so different. And Mark Camacho as Lance, he's my character's boss at that cafe where that scene took place, right? Because it's after hours and I'm kind of left to clean up, so we can have our conversation. But we shot a whole bunch of material together, one-on-one, and that's
You and Mark, you
me
mean?
and Mark,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really incredible because he's very talented, very fun.
I still don't know how you didn't laugh. Everyone else who had a scene with Mark couldn't get through their scenes, at least on the first try, without laughing. Because Mark is improvising, he's doing these ridiculous things. Scott was able to keep a straight face. He's such a pro.
If you look really closely, you can actually see the blood coming out of the corner of my mouth because I'm biting my tongue.
Well, Mark has had like over 200 roles, I think, and
sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, he's. I'm looking forward to getting him on the show. Mark, if you're watching, we want you. A couple more comments.
The Emerald says the steampunk episode was awesome. John not being able to speak was amazing. So that was something that another character kind of imposed upon him. She introduced him as her like mute servant,
Okay.
and so he had to take it on and do that.
And especially that character loves to like talk and kind of own
John?
own seats. Well, no, John's character, Evan, but yeah. Then so he loved, you know what I mean. So it was kind of a.
And Dio, hello! We're glad you were able to catch the show too.
Says, and what does Dio say?
I'm so glad I got here in time to catch the show.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Awesome. That scene that we just watched from LARPs is, if I'm not mistaken, the only scene with just the two of us.
Yeah.
The thing about doing a series which has 60 minutes of content and then about 2.5 hours of content, every moment is precious, especially season one.
And we are not precious.
That's correct, exactly.
Especially not together.
Definitely the least useful, like the most easily cast aside
them apart.
performers.
We'll never get anything done.
But especially season one, if I go back and watch episodes from it, like they fly by. You don't have a chance to. You have a chance to get to know the characters, but it has to be impactful and has to be right away. Being able to expand to slightly longer episodes means that we had a chance to do these like one-on-ones, and especially that episode, if I'm not mistaken. Shane is kind of going from person to person, and then Will kind of does the same in order to convince them to return to the LARP. There's like a breakup and then a return, right? But we don't see John's character Evan for that whole episode, so there's not like more breathing room or anything, but they're intended to be more one-on-ones. So that was the only scene that we shot, just the two of us in that show.
And
Although
it's one of my,
obviously
it was one of my favorite scenes to shoot, actually, in terms of like the non-LARP.
Yeah,
stuff.
oh yeah, obviously.
It felt very like relaxed. There was no nervousness. It's just like
it was a good day.
just having a conversation.
Well, are you nervous in other like is there
Yes.
nervousness because of the action?
Because of
The costumes?
acting.
Because
just
of the acting.
with a camera.
Oh, because in this one it's you guys, right?
Yeah,
and
well, I
it's
just felt like, I'm just sitting with Scott at the bar. We're just having a chat, and so it was a lot. It was a lot more grounding. But there were a lot of scenes that I was so nervous to film.
Really?
You're shooting with all your friends, and in a way that makes it scarier because you want them all to
be
like
impressed.
your work.
Right. And how is Julian as a director?
Can he hear what we're saying right now?
Yes, he can.
Really good. No, I honestly, I would chalk up the whole experience was really incredible, and part of that is, I think a large part of that would have to be because we got so much attention from our director. Like we've both worked on sets where you are a small cog in a large machine, and it's literally go sit over there. Okay, now we need you to do your job. Please do your job. Oh, you fucked up your job? Oh, well, like go sit over there again, And I really felt like an artist, as whose input was valued, and we could have a conversation about material.
He really likes to get our input, and even if we suggest something for a scene that he doesn't necessarily agree with, if he has the time, he'll shoot it the way we request it.
Wow.
And then usually in edits it'll become apparent
throw it
that
away
his
later,
way
yeah,
was
exactly.
the right way. But at least he shot it, He can show us
Congratulations,
why our
Julia.
version sucked. But I really respected that because you felt like your opinion mattered, and that it was
And, it
that
does,
that
yeah.
certain moments were collaborations. It was, hey, can we try this? Can we do something like that?
And so how does he compare to, say, I don't know, Darren Aronofsky?
LARPs and Mother were such similar sets.
It's true, really.
Crazy. It's crazy.
For those of you who haven't seen Darren Aronofsky's most recent film, I mean, like, speaking
That
of
being Mother.
being Mother,
Yeah. A film
exclamation
that you're
point.
both in.
With
That's
Jennifer
right.
Lawrence, Javier Bardem.
Yeah, we both had sort of very small roles on it. I mean, to a certain extent, like without spoiling sort of the content of the movie, it's a real claustrophobic crescendo kind of film where it goes from very few people to lots of people. And when there are lots of people, I mean, first of all, it's just a clusterfuck. Like it's chaos in that room and in that sort of set. But more than that, if you have even just a line, you really feel like just part of a crowd. So it doesn't even really feel like we were kind of actors versus any of the other people who were there just to kind of be in the space,
I was essentially hired to be an act, because like the way that it works with film is you're hired either as a background performer or as an actor, which means you have between 0 and 5 lines, or as a principal performer, which means you have more than 5 lines, or 6. Yeah, 6
I
not, which
can't
is
remember,
5.
yeah.
Really,
More than
6
5
and
lines.
more is principal?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then there are other categories like for film, TV, like recurring and stuff like that, guest star. But that's essentially how it breaks down. So my role was, I was hired as an actor, but stuck amongst a bunch of extras in a lineup of people waiting to get autographs from Javier Bardem. And I was like 5th in the line. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I.
What am I here for?
Darren Aronofsky's like trying to give the extras direction. Like he's talking to the first person in line. He's like, when you hear this, walk to this point, wait until this moment, and then step forward to the table. And they couldn't get it.
Oh.
They couldn't get it.
Oh,
so he
man.
goes down the line, he looks at me, he's like, can you hit that mark? I was like, yes, sir.
I know how to
and
walk.
he moved me to the front of the line. So now I'm one of the only people in that whole lineup of backgrounds who's even quasi-featured. And it's because I was like, great, I'm being paid like double, triple.
Just so
I
you
don't
can
know.
hit the mark.
Just
Pretty
for
much.
hitting that mark. And then he came over, he was like, good. He left. So that was my interaction with him.
I will say, to answer your question, I feel like, in a weird way, both Julian and Darren, who we don't know personally, really, but they're both very precise in terms of knowing what they want, right? So that would be visually and in terms of the feeling of things, as a good director should, I would say, right? But what that means is things have to be a certain way. I'd say where it starts to separate is that, if I can make this call, Julian, I feel like the feeling of a lot of the material that Julian directs ends up being, if not clean, then at least sort of well-proportioned, well-balanced, like visually. It's got kind of a clean aesthetic to it, or very sharp. Whereas Darren is also, it has to be a very specific way, but when you watch the finished product, it's like someone just tore up a piece of paper and threw it everywhere. It feels like chaos, but it's not. It's crafted.
But also, so
It's
much of his
interesting.
films, everything is in his head, and nobody else has access to it.
Yeah, that's a
So
good
everybody just has to
an auteur,
basically
yeah.
trust
Almost
him.
specifically with Pi.
Yeah.
Because he, basically has to.
No, but that's it, and that's
good movie.
how he works. He has the vision, and you just trust. He'll tell you to move here, to shoot this, to costume someone this way, and you just have to trust that he has it. And then the movie comes out, and then you see if it all came together successfully or not.
And most of the time, look, with someone like him, I would say, and my next question will be, what's your favorite Aronofsky movie? I loved his early movies. I pretty much loved everything, but I didn't see Mother. Sorry, because I
Don't
really
see it
did-
for us.
I didn't hear very good things about it, to be honest.
That's fair.
But for example, Pi and what's
Requiem for a Dream.
Oh my God,
I
Requiem
love
for a Dream.
Black
Classic.
Swan.
Sorry.
I
And
love
Black Swan.
Black Swan.
Excellent
Oh, me
But I
too.
will
film as
never
well.
ever watch it again.
No, it's a
That's it.
one viewing
One
movie.
time,
There was
traumatic
also
viewing.
what else did he do?
Direct Noah.
Which one? Oh,
Noah.
Noah
Or-
wasn't. Yeah, no, that
Yeah,
okay. That's
or whatever it was
actually-
called, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I started to
Noah.
lose. But did he do Sunshine, or was that? No, that was yesterday. Trainspot. Danny Boyle. Right. Different movie altogether. But there was one. The Fountain. That was an interesting
Right.
movie.
Very
Right.
strange.
I couldn't get into that one.
Yeah, no, it was.
But
It kind of like
I did try to watch it.
a bit like Cloud Atlas, like just
Yeah.
too sprawling and too. But no, I love Pi. Pi, I remember seeing that in the theater and just being so like, that's a fucked up movie.
Yeah, no, it sure is. And I think, the mind from which that's birthed, there's, I can't remember, I feel like when we were at university, I heard someone sort of, or I read this somewhere, the idea that every artist has one thing to say. Now, I mean, it's like a philosophy rather than a real
Okay.
thing, but it's like every artist has one thing to say and they spend their whole lifetime trying to say it. Some artists get it on the first try, and then what's the rest of their career about? And some artists kind of build to it over time,
That's interesting.
I love that idea.
It's a scary thought, though.
It is a scary, because then
Well,
as
then
an artist,
you
I'm
want to
like,
be
well,
the one
I guess
who just keeps on getting closer and closer and closer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the Emerald?
The Emerald
96?
says, "Oh, the feathers coming out of her skin. It hurts to picture it in my mind."
Oh,
Like
in
from
Black Swan. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That's true.
So gross.
Do you have a favorite Aronofsky movie?
I think Black Swan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Black Swan.
What about yourself?
Requiem. I gotta say Requiem.
Yeah.
It was so impactful when I saw it. I saw it like when I was too young to really understand, but I remember I watched it and then I immediately rewatched it with the director's commentary.
Oh, really?
Immediately rewatched it with him
my God.
discussing all of the behind the scenes content of like, oh yeah, that's my dad in that role, that's my mother's friend, like just very blasé about this heart-wrenching piece of media.
Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly, right?
Jennifer Connelly,
that's
yeah,
right,
and Ellen Burstyn.
Oh, that's right.
Incredible.
Oh my God, she was so good.
So great.
Yeah.
And that's a tough role. And there's something about that film, I think, like what I really loved about it then is like I've never studied cinema really, and specifically like cinematography and editing. I don't know much about those art forms and those crafts. But that was the first film I remember seeing around the same time that I saw Amélie, which should have been on my list.
No, let's get to your list. Yeah.
Both of those films, in contrast to each other, I was like, oh, I see what the range of things you can do with a camera is, you know, and...
But both of them as fantastic or fantastical
Yeah.
as the other. Just one is colorful and beautiful and wondrous, and the other is dark.
Impressionism, expressionism, maybe? A little bit of that, like, for sure, I would say.
Yeah, well done.
That's my smart thing for the month, guys, I'm done.
Let's get to a list of your faves. There's so much more to do, by the way. There's your short films,
Oh, God, there's so much to
favorite
do.
movies, there's tagline trivia.
All right, and we have 30
What the hell have we
minutes.
been talking
30
about
minutes,
it?
okay, all right.
We've been talking about BBC miniseries
That's
stuff.
true.
Oh, the M, okay.
All right, so favorite movies, Elizabeth. Let's go through yours.
Yeah.
Princess Bride.
Yes.
I mean, and you know what? I played it for my girlfriend who grew up speaking French. Not it wasn't part of her growing up. It wasn't part of her upbringing.
Right.
And I remember playing it for her, and she was like, okay, it's kind of cute and funny, but
You can't. Oh,
You need, I think,
it's
2 or 3
hard to
viewings.
watch it
I
as an
think.
adult as well.
right. Is that a movie that you need? I remember seeing it in the theater. Fred Savage. I was like, oh my God, it's Fred Savage. And then I fell in love with Buttercup. And then, have fun storming the castle and Andre the Giant. Anybody want a peanut?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the most perfect movie.
Yeah.
But you tell us what's so special about it.
The first time I saw it, I was actually a teenager. So I feel like that even is a little older than the ideal time to watch it for the first time. And so the first time I saw it, I was like, this was fun. Cool. Okay. And then I watched it again, and something happened, and just suddenly I went, this is the greatest movie of
You
all time.
appreciated Carrie Elwes way more.
Yes, yes.
What's that?
You just appreciated Carrie Elwes so much
Yeah.
more. Like, he's
Oh my.
so great in that
Yeah,
role.
he's dreamboat.
He's a
What
dreamboat.
happened?
What, I mean, he ended up in the most recent, the first Saw. You know the first Saw movie?
Oh,
that
yeah, I
was
know.
that
That's
was
right,
Carrie Elwes.
yeah.
But I mean, I felt like he could have parlayed that into
He
such an
did that
incredible
auction
career.
movie. What's the auction show that shot in Montreal first season?
Art.
The Art
of
of
the
More.
Deal.
The
Art
Art
of
of
More.
More.
Nailed it.
He did
Oh,
that
right.
one.
I was on that.
You were.
I didn't know what it's called.
Yeah, apparently he's a really, really nice guy. And anyway, yeah, so that one I just love, and it's endlessly quotable, and it's just delightful.
And Rob Reiner, I mean, he really is such a fantastic director.
I agree.
Before we get to your next favorite, there's a
Well,
question.
this is going to be a big tangent.
Yeah,
if we're
well,
talking about
let's
this.
tangent.
Okay,
It's
okay.
Big tangent.
So the Emerald wants to know, for me, what was it like seeing Scott do his love scene in season 1 where he is in bed with Brittany?
I appreciate the
Calm
quotation marks
down.
there, buddy. No, I'm kidding.
Well, do tell how far did you guys go in this scene?
What is that? What does that
Was
mean?
there any? Was there actual kissing? Was there?
I think there was tongue.
Yeah.
was
What?
time.
Excuse me.
Boy, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, look, the scene in question at the end of the first season of the show, there's been some chemistry between my character and Brittany, who is played by Charlotte Rogers, and we end up going to her place and we make out, and then it's a very tasteful cut to afterwards where they're in bed. Essentially, the scene is it's like, again, this is like wonderful writing in my mind. It's a very simple scene where she says, "I like you," and I say, "I like you too." She says,
What do you think?
"What do you think of my character, Corellia?" And I say, "Oh, I love her." And she's like, "You should go."
It's a really sad moment where she realizes that he's more attracted to her LARP persona than her. It's heartbreaking.
Wham!
And the
Gut
two
punch.
of them played it so well. They're both, just to answer your question, the Emerald, they're, Scott and I had been dating for a little bit at this point, and Charlotte is one of my best friends. And so
That's gotta be weird.
The two of them were so nervous and uncomfortable around, especially Charlotte. They were both like, how is this gonna, like, I don't know. And so they were so nervous that I didn't get nervous or feel awkward because I felt like I had to compensate.
Yeah, Charlotte's like a sister to me, I would say, and like that's
by the end I was
strange.
like, just kiss, guys, come on.
Come on, do it. Yeah.
Dude, so I'm kind of like cheering them on the side.
For real?
Actors are weird.
Not in the
Yeah.
room, at least.
Yeah.
Thank
I was
goodness.
not in the room for that.
Yeah.
I was under the bed like this.
Doing great, guys.
But no, it was completely fine.
So, okay,
Also, I could kill them in an instant, says learned from gaming. I have been boxing, but that's future Liz. Past Liz wasn't like that. She
No.
wasn't as bloodthirsty.
So can I ask how you guys got together, or is that a story for another time?
Sure. You want to go? Yeah.
Well, I thought you would. I don't remember. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
It all
yeah, of
happens
course.
so
It just happened so fast. Well, okay, so we were working together for a summer with Parks Canada, of all things, doing theater up and down the sort of the Rideau Canal, like historic sites.
Oh, wow.
around yeah.
Theater on the canal.
That's what you do when you live
Essentially.
in Ottawa and you're an actor.
Right.
A
Gotcha.
lot of
Over the
national historic
summer.
site stuff, man.
Yeah.
And no, I think at that time, like I really wish there was some sort of grand, like, we were leaping out of a plane together and I was like, babe, catch me, blah. I don't know.
If you had said that, I probably
Yuck,
wouldn't
yeah,
have.
what the hell?
Tom Cruise and the dummy, the mummy.
The dummy. The dummy.
Dummy.
Should have called it the dummy.
That I would see.
Classic.
Cruise.
If you're
Where are
listening,
you?
Tom, yeah. No, but I remember kind of, I don't know how to build up to this. Just essentially just very casually being like, hey, maybe we should hang out sometime.
Yeah, and it was like we'd spent the whole summer together, and then he just said that, and like, and I basically said I did the cliche thing of like, is this gonna ruin our friendship? Funny thing was, as friends,
Yes.
we were good. It did.
It did.
We were gonna be roommates in the fall.
Oh, wow.
There were.
Let's talk
So
about
we
that,
were
actually.
about to move in with two other people and like be four of us in a house. Scott and I had already been roommates in second year of university. So like we had already been roomies.
You'd been
and then we
roommates
said,
before.
yeah.
strange, right?
And then we said, hey, let's be roommates again. There's like another room in this apartment. And so at the end of the summer, Scott, like we got together and then we basically just said, so do you
we,
still
like,
want to move in?
Move in and
And
start
then-
dating at the same time, like renegotiate all of
Yeah.
that simultaneously.
And what did you do?
She said,
That?
You moved
We
in?
did it, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had separate
Yeah.
rooms, right?
Okay.
So there was
We
a
had our own space.
there was like a
Sorry.
negotiation that kind of happened, which
Must
was
have been
nice.
weird for the other two, though.
Well, we asked them first, and the one. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it was our friend Crystal, who like had been to school with us the whole time, because everybody else thought it was a terrible idea. And then Crystal, we were like, look, Crystal, like we understand if you feel weirded out by this. She's like, no, you two will be fine. If anyone can make it work, you two can. And she was right. It was completely fine.
Wow.
But
Here's my question. You guys were good friends.
Yeah.
Did one of you, like someone's got to make a move, right? Or someone's got to, was it, hey, let's try this? Or was it just like a moment where like all of a sudden you locked lips or something?
In the rain.
In the rain?
Under a waterfall.
Really?
In a
Hey?
volcano.
I wish I had that kind
With an
of chutzpah.
explosion behind
Yeah.
you. Walking
Yeah,
away
but we're
from
not
it.
looking at it
Right,
exactly.
exactly.
Like we're that cool. I wish I had the kind of like chutzpah to just kind of grab someone, or well, not grab somebody, but you know what I mean. Just
Consent's
like
important,
very important. I agree. Very exciting. But like to just kind of to make a move, as it were. But I mean, I did ask her out, but there was no sort of grand romantic gesture, and I think part of that is because I don't think Liz at that time was big into big romantic gestures.
Yeah,
or at
I
least
didn't
wouldn't have
respond.
responded well.
I didn't respond very well to that. I was like, I did not do romance or relationships when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. Like I didn't date anyone for like longer than a month, and so I don't know how it somehow magically worked out. But yeah, I like the whole beginning of it. Like Scott's starting to bring it up, and I'm like, oh.
So you guys talked it through before
Yeah.
any physical thing happened?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. It's like a
physical stuff
precursor
happened pretty fast,
to
so, you know.
the post Me Too world that we live in. You know,
I like that.
you got to talk things through.
Yeah.
Although sometimes that may, I don't want to say, wow.
But to each their own, right? Like
Right.
everybody's got their own kind of energy and their own desires, right? And some
Yeah.
people want to be, I think, really want to be surprised or taken off guard or not swept off their feet, but like, want to be part of like a big romantic novel or a big Princess Bride story.
Yeah.
And some people want to like make a decision.
Sounds
but
so lame. Although
And we're
Mangani
not.
and Learn from Gaming are being very sweet. Mangani says, "Oh, that's so sweet." Learn from Gaming says, "This is a pretty organic story.
Yeah.
I dig it."
Like a juice.
The Emerald says, "I bet Liz made the move first." Nope, I did not. Although I definitely like, I'm a bad flirter, as in I do it a lot.
Okay.
So I'm bad with that. It was up to Scott to actually like do something about that, but I was probably just going like this.
Really hope you were doing,
Yeah.
like the thing that like
Hey.
children do in
Hey.
the yard.
Hey.
They're like,
Hey.
you're stupid, I'm taking your hat. I'm like, Liz, what the hell? Yeah. That'd be great.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
You're
now,
welcome.
I almost want to just get to one of the clips. Speaking of relationships,
let's do it.
Okay, but we will get back to the favorite movies. But I think I watched Egg Tarts before this, and I think talking about relationships, Egg Tart. That's a great segue into Egg Tarts.
Okay.
So set this up for us.
Well, Beanduck Productions, you've heard of them. Beanduck Productions for some time was creating short film content or web series content, sort of soliciting scripts and producing them, right? And I thought that was a great opportunity to turn my hand to some writing. Like I've written, again, being sort of a theatrical background, I've written scripts for short plays or monologues, that sort of thing. I wrote a three-hander that we did at the Montreal Fringe Festival 2 years ago. Myself, Liz, and our friend Adam Capriolo, who is also incredible, which was really a ton of fun. But I hadn't tried writing for a different medium, and I didn't know much about it, so I thought, well, give it a shot. It was meant to be short, which is great. So I said I challenged myself to write as much of a complete story that had my sensibility and my sense of humor in it in 5 minutes or less. I was thinking a lot about. I don't want to spoil anything. Technology at the time. I was thinking a lot about technology at the time.
Interesting, because your short also has a lot of technology in
Yep.
it. But let's stay with yours.
Okay.
And then we'll go to yours.
Okay.
And then we'll go to no, I don't have one. Let's
Yet.
watch Egg Tarts. This is written by you, directed by Julian,
Yep.
and starring a guy that looks a lot like you.
That's true.
Yeah, and
But
Mark
totally
Camacho.
by coincidence. And Mark Camacho, and yeah.
All right,
We'll
let's
have a
have
watch.
a. No, let's watch it.
Okay, let's do this. I'm not nervous. They're just people.
Alex, it's gonna be fine. But just for the record, they're not technically people. They're my parents.
You are so not helping right now.
They say a sense of humor doesn't run in the family.
I think it must have skipped your generation, Dad.
Oh, Daniel, lay off him, all right? Just because your dad's jokes are terrible.
Oh, dissing the old man. She's gonna fit right in.
You're not old. You're not young either.
Thank you very much.
Alex, I know this is gonna sound like a mom thing, but I hope you saved some room. Daniel made me promise not to say anything, but I hear you have a thing for egg tarts.
Egg tarts? Oh, you really shouldn't have.
I know I shouldn't have, but you can be our guinea pig, okay?
Hope you got an iron stomach.
Oh, I'll happily eat myself into a food coma for you.
Atta girl.
I'll just go get them.
Actually, Mom, if you don't mind, Alex and I have some news.
News. This is me putting my serious face on.
Oh, that's enough. Daniel, go ahead.
So, I know you've only just met Alex, but I've known her for a long time. I mean, it feels like a long time. Not overly long, just her supportiveness, her warmth. She's made me really happy, and, well...
Daniel, stop.
I know this is probably embarrassing you, but...
I have some news of my own to share, and it can't wait.
Alex, what are you talking?
I no longer have to lie, so let me spare you the embarrassment, Daniel. I'm not who you think I am.
That's it? Oh my God, Alex, I thought... Alex changed her name when she turned 18. Her parents named her Billy at birth, and...
Daniel, no. It's not that. I'm a robot. Technically, an android. I am detecting that you are all confused. I was developed primarily as a tool for corporate espionage. Mr. College, your competitors felt that this was the least invasive way of infiltrating your life and the least destructive method of liberating your work on the fusion reactor.
Alex, how could you?
Daniel, obviously, I logged the schematics to my memory banks while I was washing up.
Oh, how could you say this? You're not real? Our whole relationship was a lie?
Oh, Daniel, you silly human, of course not. It's only a lie if both of us don't believe in it. Time to exit gracefully. Thank you all again so much for everything. The schematics, obviously. And the beans. They were delicious. I assume. My taste receptors were never fully calibrated.
What the fuck?
Wigs. Gets them every time.
Oh, man.
I like that.
Are we back?
It's so good.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it. I
tremendous.
really enjoy how it turned out.
The writing is great.
Hey, thanks.
I really think that, what's the actor's name?
Holly Goatee Frankel. No, Patrick Keeler.
Yeah, my God, he
Young dad.
really,
Yeah.
like, his facial expressions are just so, it's so key to the discomfort of the scene.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall being in on the casting, but I might be wrong on that. But Patrick is like a very sincere performer, and like that's such a key thing for this character. Has to really wholeheartedly be really nervous to bring this Elaine home to his parents. You know what I mean? Like it has to be really sincere.
This episode of Black Mirror is weird.
Yeah,
says
Donnie, nice. Yes, that's the intention, right? Funnier, I think, than a lot of Black Mirror, but maybe I'm wrong here.
No, but the humor is definitely there, and it's all about the timing. It's all like these, and what I really, I got to give you kudos as well, Julian. The directing. I don't know if that was part of how you wrote it, but the idea of the first person, the angles, the from above and down, and all that seems quite thought out.
Yeah, like the concept was to have, like at the end, the reveal of what she looks like. Like we originally kind of had talked about, or like it was originally scripted to be sort of like getting into a car and then adjusting the rear view mirror, and it's like very clearly not a human being. Like it's very clearly just a camera face that they would have all been looking at this whole time. For convenience's sake, we shot it in the same room or whatever. But yeah, the intention was to do it as a point of view so that you wouldn't, if there's already a twist, you don't think there's going to be another one, right? So like, so there's just like a fun punch at the end. I love the absurdity of then revisiting that whole scene, imagining from their perspective, looking at just like a camera with a wig on and being like, oh yeah, she looks great. You know what I mean? Like that's, I think that's really fun.
There was something earlier in our conversation that reminded me of that, of the twist. What is it that we were talking about earlier that had a twist? And I said, oh, I'm going to bring up this. No, nothing. Something about relationships. Was there something in LARPs that was
excuse me?
There was a twist. Anyways,
a twist. Well, I mean, Liz's character Shane being revealed as sort of a journalist.
Oh right, yeah, exactly.
And having the relationship kind of flipped on its head.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
as we were talking about that, I was thinking, oh, there's a similar vibe here.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of technology, let's see your short film, or
So
I
this
guess
is
it's a
actually-
web series,
Yeah,
right?
this is the first episode of my short web series called Best Plan Ever.
Anything you want to say to set it up?
No, actually, I
Okay.
think it's gonna. I think it explains itself.
Okay, well, let's watch Best Plan Ever.
boy.
This is episode 1.
Emma, it is time to leave for work.
Stella snooze.
I'm sorry, your daily snooze quota has been reached. You have used your snooze.
Nice.
Thank you. Get up.
Okay. Let's go.
You are scheduled to work from 10 minutes ago until 6 p.m. Then, girls' night. Things get cray. From 7 p.m. until no end time listed.
That was intentional.
I am assuming you will not be at work tomorrow, so I will take it upon myself to remove it from tomorrow's schedule.
That's why I love you.
Did not catch that, but assume it was complimentary. I will schedule a car to pick you up. What time do you honestly expect to stumble gracefully out of the club?
Oh, your vocabulary's really coming along. You know what? Forget the car. Trying to save money and all that.
You do realize your group signed up for bottle service tonight?
Oh, shit, what am I gonna wear?
This is currently your most popular photo on social media.
Yep. I can work with, that.
I also feel it's only fair to warn you.
Oh boy.
It's your mother's birthday next week. If you want her gift to arrive on time, it will need to be sent within the next 48 hours. It will also need to exist in the physical realm.
Oh, someone's wearing their bitch pants today.
I am programmed to take on facets of your personality, so...
So, Stella, please display checking account balance. Stella, please display credit card balance. Stella, how do I rob a fucking bank? Oh, shit.
I like how your episode ends with what the fuck, and your episode ends with shit.
Oh shit! We're just potty mouth McGee's over here.
Gasp.
Where do you do you have an Alexa or a Google Home or any of these things?
I use. Thank you, Dio. Says lol. That is so good. So there are, just to throw in there are 4 more episodes. It's a very, very short series. And it's on Beanduck's YouTube channel if you do want to watch it.
It's great, yeah.
Thank you. I have a Google on my phone, so sometimes I'll do like the OK Google set alarm for 8 a.m. OK Google, turn on ocean sounds, and I'll like go to sleep to that. But I don't do too much with it.
But you're
No,
aware
it's
that
fine.
it's
Oh.
always listening, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Does that scare you?
absolutely.
No.
I think
You either?
I think that everything, like I stream on Twitch and I'm an actor, so everything's already out there.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, that's
in a way.
It's a really
I don't
interesting
know.
conversation to have about privacy because, like, I also think, I mean, like, if I think of, 1984 by George Orwell,
Yeah.
right? They talk about, the thought police, right? Like, in that, it was this dystopian idea of, like, you could still be free because you could have your thoughts to yourself. But in that world, you couldn't because they can get inside your head and really, like, they know what you're thinking, right? And I think today, to a certain extent, algorithms have become so good that based on what you are talking about and what you search, you can get a pretty decent sense of what that person is into and make some educated guesses. I don't mind that invasion of privacy because, if I have said it and if I've put it out in the world, then it is out in the world. I guess my view of how global everything's become is just, yeah.
Well, let me run two scenarios by you that happened to me recently that kind of scared the shit out of me.
Okay.
I was having brunch at my in-laws' house in Quebec City, and there was music playing in the background, and nobody was on their computer, nobody was searching anything, but the music that was playing I recognized from when I used to DJ at a record store, and it was from some compilation called Hotel Costes, which was like, some loungy music from, that was big in 1997. And I was like, hey, what is this again? And he said, oh, this is, oh no, he didn't even search. He just said, this was Hotel Costes. And I said, oh, haven't thought about that in a while. And then 10 minutes later, I was looking for a video on YouTube for my son. And bear in mind, nobody searched anything. This was just a conversation we were having. The second video suggested for you was Hotel Costes. Then, a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation about, I'm going to be moving soon, and I was having a conversation about going to see the notary or something like that.
Okay.
Just a conversation. Yeah. And within that conversation, I got a text message from Bell saying, moving? Check out our new deals for landlines. They're
It's the messaging that weirds me out too.
They're listening. It's not necessarily about things that I'm putting out there or things that I'm searching for. It's that my conversations are being heard. And I mean, you can opt out, you can go off the grid, but I don't know if that's really feasible in the to be a human living in the human world these days.
To be a little ridiculous about it, I feel like the analogy for me is it's akin to like if I'm walking down the street and thinking about like gelato and I happen by a store and someone really quickly runs to the window and like slaps up a big gelato sign, I'd be like, oh, cool, okay. If someone runs out to me and goes, hey, you want some? That's weird. I don't want that. But I'm okay with people slapping up signs as I walk by to remind me of that thing I wanted.
Okay.
I know it's a bit of a ridiculous sort of thing. But.
We have so little time. We have like 4 minutes, but I also want to go through some other favorite movies. We're going to have to do this fast, and we've got to play a little bit of tagline trivia.
Tagline trivia.
So should I just list them, just so that people are aware?
We won't comment.
So favorite movies, Liz. Do you prefer I call you Liz or Elizabeth?
Liz is totally fine.
Okay. So Princess Bride, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Someone had to bring it up. It's on everyone's list. Yes. Breakfast at Tiffany's, everything except Mickey Rooney.
Really don't like that character.
But is that also due to him, he said some weird stuff?
I mean, Mickey Rooney as a person aside, I just find that character is incredibly offensive.
Okay. To have and have not.
Love it.
That's
Bogey and Bacall, yo.
Oh, right, exactly. Okay. Elizabeth, period piece.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings, period, but that's fantasy fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's total. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I wouldn't really call that period. That's just hilarious.
Just perfection.
And Scott's, The Matrix, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And what do you guys make of the Keanu Renaissance? Are we loving it?
I am loving it. We watched Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah.
Where he appears, right? He has quite a few. And it was very funny, but I am reminded of how kind of odd of a person he is. And I like that that's come back. That's fun to me.
By the way,
beautiful, strange.
I didn't even get to talk about Toy Story 4. We'll save that for next time. But Toy Story 4, his character, he literally makes this movie.
I can't wait.
Duke Kaboom is maybe the greatest. He plays a Canadian stuntman named Duke Kaboom. He's fucking amazing. So all
How
hail.
did I not heard about this?
Yeah, no, it's tremendous. Clue, which all of you guys tell me I need to see. I had no idea it was a great movie.
It's delightful.
Really?
Okay.
Tim Curry.
Oh, right.
Slow burn.
Exactly.
It's a slow burn movie.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Into the Spider-Verse. I think we all agree and I did not expect it to be as good as it was. It blew my mind. By the way, I'm going to see Spider-Man Far From Home tomorrow.
Enjoy.
So I will have my reviews for you guys. The Dark Knight. What's your take on the Joker? Are we going to like Joaquin's?
I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
BBC Emma miniseries.
Okay, well,
there you go.
I had to throw one of them on there.
And Monty Python's The Meaning of Life and the Holy Grail. It was the Salmon Moose. Now,
Tagline.
let us play a little tagline trivia with the 1 minute we have left.
It's so easy to judge people when I'm sitting back there and watching, and now I'm
can stretch a couple minutes, right, Julian? Couple minutes. Okay, here we go. What decade do you guys want to do?
Probably the 2000s.
2000s. All right. Now, bear in mind, there's only so many taglines.
Yeah,
so we may repeat some of the ones that have already.
Hopefully it's one I've
did I ever do this one? Escape or Die Frying?
Escape or die frying?
Yeah.
Is that Chicken Run?
It is.
Nice job.
Then you have done that before.
Okay.
There's no way I would have
Damn
known
it,
it.
I wouldn't have. known
Okay.
that. It's a great movie.
After a night they can't remember comes a day they'll never forget.
The Hangover.
No, but you know.
No?
Say
Okay.
this is from 2000, starring.
Nah.
If I'm not mistaken, was Stifler one of the guys in that movie? Stifler and not Keanu, but basically
Ashton Kutcher.
Yes.
Dude, Where's My Car?
Yes, there you
Sure.
go. All right, nice. Okay.
What's mine say?
Oh, here. Again from 2000. Death doesn't take no for an answer.
Ooh.
Final Destination?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Okay, you guys are
I wouldn't
kicking
have
some
said that.
ass.
Excellent.
All right,
Wow.
let's try and make it a little
I can't
harder. Here we
believe
go.
Let's try to make it a little.
Okay.
Oh, God.
It's not like they didn't warn us.
Oh. It's either a monster movie or a natural
alien
disaster movie
movie.
or an alien movie. And you said the 2000s, so it's not
2002.
Mars Attacks. 2002.
2002. M. Night.
So Signs.
Signs.
Came out in
Signs,
2002,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Nice. It's not
Very
like they didn't warn
good.
us. Ooh.
Okay. This is probably pretty easy. There are 3.7 trillion fish in the ocean.
Finding Nemo.
Oh, you knew that already.
I just know that tagline really well.
Oh,
I don't know
wow,
why.
okay.
I don't know why. They're
Wow.
looking for one. I don't know why I know that tagline so well.
I don't think I could say I know any taglines well. Like, what is
I
this?
just know that tagline.
It's so funny. Okay, I'm going to jump in after 2 words this
Okay.
time.
Okay,
No,
you got
I'm
it.
not going to.
Winner kills all.
Oh.
So this is versus. This is a.
Freddy versus Jason.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Everything has a beginning and an end. And this is a reference to something we talked about within the last 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
So it's going to have to be
2003.
The Matrix Revolutions.
Ew.
No.
Yes.
Yes? Nailed it!
Fuck. You guys, okay, so
I can't
far.
believe this.
I'm ashamed that you know that, Scott.
I
Wow.
also knew a trivia question about Revolutions the other day, and
Uh-huh.
everyone was really mad at me.
No, I think we're all convinced that it is actually your favorite movie. You say The Matrix, you mean The Matrix Revolutions.
Grab life by the ball.
Dodgeball.
Probably, right? Yes!
Fuck yes!
We'll take the 1950s after this.
All right.
Oh, God.
I know, terrible idea. Yeah.
Let's see.
kidding.
Controversy? What controversy? 2004
Oof.
documentary. Very famous documentary.
I mean,
Broke the Oscars.
Oh.
Al Gore's global. No. I was gonna say no. Bowling was in '99. So. But Michael Moore did Fahrenheit.
There you go.
Something.
Fahrenheit 9/11.
9/11.
Yeah.
450 makes sense. 451. No, Scott. No, buddy.
12 is the new 11.
Ocean's 12.
Thank you. That's
That's a good one.
The funniest thing you ever sawed. So let's work with
Child's Play, something or no, that doesn't make sense. It's like a
but
ventriloquist-
the funniest thing you ever saw.
Scary movie.
Yes, Scary Movie 4.
Four.
Yeah. All right.
God, what?
A romantic movie with zombies.
Warm Bodies.
No, it should have been
Shit.
because I was in that movie, but no, it's Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, of course.
Yes. All right. Let's move on a little bit later in the decade.
Okay.
Let's see.
Shaun
No Goats, No Glory. This wasn't a hugely well-known movie, but it did. It had.
I'm thinking of Men Who Stare at Ghosts.
Yes.
But it's actually nice.
Yes.
Nailed it.
So,
Okay.
Clooney's in that one.
Yeah,
isn't he?
exactly.
I think I saw that in theaters actually. I
That
can't
wasn't a
remember
bad
it for-
movie. It kind of it didn't do so well, but
It's like a psychic program. I remember some sort of government psychic program.
Well, you don't get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies.
Social Network.
Social Network
There
for
you go.
sure. I don't know these taglines. I just know these movies. You know.
You Can't Handle the Tooth. Or The Tooth Hurts.
Is there a film called The Tooth Fairy?
There is.
Is it that one?
It is.
Yes!
Starring
I'm such a guesser.
The Rock.
The Rock.
Oh
That's
my
right.
God, you knew it! That's
Dwayne
so funny.
motherfucking Johnson.
This is so ridiculous.
All right, let's see. Do we have some more?
Stupid. What you guys can't see is we're just Googling the answers really fast.
Hey, you know what? We could also do, it's a whole new game. Great film quotes.
Ooh.
You want to do some quotes?
Hit us up
Julian?
with a couple quotes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes of quotes. From the 2010s?
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
I'm terrified, yeah.
Are we naming the actor, the movie, the character, the what?
The
next
movie.
At
quote?
this point, yeah.
You are more beautiful than Cinderella. You smell like pine needles, and you have a face like sunshine.
The 2010s?
You're more beautiful than Cinderella. You smell like pine needles and you have a face like sunshine.
What is that like? Just like that face is so screwed up. I can hear it.
Shit, why don't I know this?
I don't know.
That is.
I'm sorry to say.
That is Bridesmaids.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
On that one.
Okay, this obviously, well.
Well, not obviously.
I don't think you could hear it, but.
No, but-
But it's definitely Chewie, we're home.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, this is kind of fun. Okay, we're gonna do one more.
Good job, Jess. You got it.
Thanks, Jess.
Not quite my tempo. Not quite my tempo.
Nope.
Great movie.
Oh, Whiplash?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Whoa!
Yes.
Okay.
Well
person
done.
is so-
All right.
Are
so
we the best tagline
you
trivia?
are by far the
Tag
best
team trivia.
tag team,
Tag
tagline
team.
trivia players
Tag
of all time.
in.
I see why you guys are a
Tag out.
couple, because you're awesome.
Boom.
So
Sorry, we're here.
You're awesome.
no,
awesome.
we're all awesome.
You're breathtaking.
No.
You're breathtaking. Yeah, Reeves.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
I was gonna go fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool,
You're
fuck
cool,
you, I'm out. And on that note, so what do people do to find you? And what are you working on? And it's plug time.
Time to plug. I'll start. You can find me on Twitter at Humphrey1212, I believe. Yeah. So
And you're not on
Humphrey1212.
LinkedIn. I tried.
I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm sorry. I am currently working on a dubbing project. I'm hoping for some other projects to work out this summer, but I'm going to be writing something. So stay tuned. Hopefully, we'll see if it gets produced. You can also catch me on as one of the performers on Full Party on this Twitch channel on Mondays.
Yes. And you, Liz.
Basically everything that Scott said, copy paste for me, except all my socials are at Elizabeth A. Neale. So that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can catch me on Twitch on my own Twitch channel at Elizabeth A. Neale. Friday nights, I run around punching things, The Adventures of Punchy.
What?
And
Really?
I participate on Full Party on Monday nights. And
What do you punch?
I punch like dragons.
Greek.
Oh, okay.
Greek
I
snow.
thought you meant you literally like you're with your iPhone and you're just running around punching
Well, that's
things.
an idea for something.
Hey, sir.
Let's
what?
do it.
Bam! Oh my God.
And by supporting Beanduck, you support me. So please join for more shows. 'cause
Yeah, we love that. Join, support us. We love having you guys there, commenting, and it was fantastic to have you guys.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back next week, and tomorrow night, Cosplay Cave with the wonderful cosplayers who will dress up.
Hosted by Rosie Stormborn, and it is at 6:30 on this
boy.
channel.
Right. And so that's it. So again, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool, you're cool, you're cool, you're cool, you're cool.
Hey.
Fuck you. We're out. Bye.